One might be inclined to think that I was filled with a righteous sense of indignation upon my return from Rome. Perhaps you imagine I swore an oath of vengeance upon Jupiter's stone, and that all that was reflected in my glassy eyes were visions of flames engulfing the city of my birth. None of this was the case. The voyage was long and exhausting, and there was little to do along the way but watch the horizon and grapple with my own thoughts. Actia did her best to assuage my black mood, but I think she did not and really could not understand it. Rome is the eternal city, and to its inhabitants family is everything, even at its most spiteful. Romulus and Remus themselves knew this better than most, and their descendants are little different. My family, however, rather than striking me down, had instead robbed and abandoned me like a beggar on the Appian Way. All I'd built in the East, all I'd won, the glory, the riches, the status, had been with a mind to return to the greatest city on this earth. But when I got there, fair Roma looked upon my countenance with the indifference of a stranger. Even malice would have felt more forgiving. I retired to my villa outside Ankara alone. Days, perhaps even weeks, went by at a time in which no words passed my lips, neither to guest nor servant. By day, I wandered aimlessly across the estate, beneath a wide-brimmed hat in the baking sun. By night, I lay awake, gazing upon the frescoed ceiling of my private chambers. In a great garden, fair Narcissus and Echo stood, as I alternated, hour by hour, in my judgment of which doomed soul I more resembled in my predicament. Not for the first time in my life, and certainly not for the last, I felt completely and utterly alone. Even as I was surrounded by a throng of servants, by my wife, by the barbarian chiefs who drained their goblets in my honour, by the warriors who raised spears with a cry when my horse carried me past, by the trumpets, by the bowing and grovelling of the Ankaran plebeians, and by enough gold and silver to found a city in my own right. I left the estate only once, after Caxtos fell in battle against the Odrysians in Thrace. His body was conveyed back to Anatolia with haste by his surviving riders, and as was the custom of his people, rather than having a burial, he was cremated under the open sky. As I watched the flames consume him, surrounded by his tetrarchs, by the druids and his close family, I wondered if Galatia's fiercest warrior had ever felt as I did. It was autumn when the king came to visit. I remember that much, for the sky was cloudy, and orange leaves fluttered through the herb garden on an east wind. I stood on the veranda, my beard tangled and my eyes sunken from lack of sleep, as he dismounted from his white horse and made his way up to the house. I might have expected anger, disappointment, or even disgust from Magarix, but true to his character, he instead affixed me with a look of simple pity, and embraced me as he would a brother. Into my hands he placed 2 wooden tablets, each with a message, one written in Latin, the other in Greek. The latter was an offer from Ptolemy, the pharaoh of Egypt, of vast quantities of treasure and land in exchange for an army of Gauls with which to fight Rome. The former, meanwhile, was a tersely written demand from the Senate and people of Rome that Magarix, king of Galatia, should pay tribute in the form of no less than 3,000 pounds of gold. The reasons and excuses for this were many and long-winded, as numerous as they were insulting. Together, they meant only one thing. "Tell me of the Romans," said the king, "and tell me how to beat them." Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back once again to Rome 2 Total War. It's the Galatian campaign, and we're kicking off today's episode with a little pop-up message I just got, which I thought might be of interest. The foundation of the Parthian Empire, everybody. From Syria to India, all lands and trade routes are under... That's not strictly speaking accurate in our campaign, but whatever. All lands and trade routes are under Parthian government. The vast empire reigns supreme in the east, and armies are swell in numbers and grandeur. This final reform represents the peak of the Parthian empire, and there are no enemies that they are unable to meet in the field. Nobles amass large estates and wealth, which allows them to cover their mounts as well as themselves fully in advanced armor. Nicaean horses are carrying deadly cataphracts into combat, and skilled horse archers are also available in large numbers from both freemen and nobles. Having experience with many sieges, infantry became more important, and while not as elite as for many other nations, it is now able to be very competent on the field. So the Parthians have gotten their last set of reforms. Good for them, I guess. They've got Tushpa and Ganzak on our border at the moment, as it stands. Don't really know how things are shaking out elsewhere, though, because as we've seen, the east, like Persia, the Caucasus, all of this down, it's all become a sort of a fractured mess. I mean, look, like Atropatkan has this, and also Seleucia. Meshan controls Amaziah and also Cherax all the way down there. It's so friggin' weird. I don't know what's going on over here. It's madness. But anyway, not much has changed. It's September of 267 BC right now, and at the moment, Magarix and his army are replenishing their losses. Literally replenishing their losses when I can, and also recruiting some more units to replace the ones that were destroyed. At the moment, leading Caxtos' claws, I have switched the generals out. It's no longer the other guy. It is the current leader of the Trocmai. What's his name? What's his damn Iarchos? Iarchos is the new faction leader of the Trocmai, who has replaced Caxtos. Now Caxtos is dead, and this is he essentially. 8 authority, 3 cunning, 3 zeal, not very much gravitas. He's 20 years old. He has a background in agriculture, oddly enough. He'd make a decent enough governor, but that's not what he's doing at the moment. He's got commander of men, a dread commander as well, minus 5% morale for all enemy units. Yeah, it's a scary dude. I gave him the flayed enemy skin as one of his little accoutrements down here. Plus 4% morale for all units, plus 1 gravitas per turn, minus 1 growth per turn, local province. He's got a master of horse and a one-eyed veteran as well. He's a noble. He is chief's kin, is his background. So this is obviously must have been one of Caxtos' close kinsmen, I would say, judging by that. The effects of that, though, are minus 3 public order and plus 5% tax rate for the local province. And his personality type is egotistic, selfish, imperious, and greedy. So that's not fantastic, I have to admit. I liked Caxtos a lot more. This guy could be trouble, but you never know. Well, maybe he'll prove himself anyway. His army really does need replenishing big time, actually. He's down quite a few units. I'm recruiting a whole load of cavalry and an extra unit of shield wall spearmen for him at the moment. Magrix, I'm recruiting another unit of Thorakitai, thorax infantry, and just trying to replenish everything else at the moment, which is taking some time because the population pool is very limited out here in the sticks. I might have to march them all the way back over sort of this neck of the woods to really replenish them properly. Certainly if I want to recruit more thorax infantry, we're going to have to go back down to Ankara, I think. Which would obviously, it's a pain because that takes ages to do. In DEI, there's no longer a forced march stance for armies, so I can't put them in forced march mode and move them a very long distance every turn. It's something I'm not mad keen on, to be honest with you. It's something that irritates me a little bit about this mod, because I really did like that feature, but whatever, they've disabled it for some reason. Aside from that, the Ptolemies have gone a bit on the offensive a bit down here in Egypt. They've taken Paraitonion. Their army that took it is over here marching away. This is what their army looks like at the minute. They have Galatian thorax spearmen, which is kind of interesting. Even I don't get those. That's a new one on me. But obviously they've been recruiting Galatian mercenaries like Bilio, and they've got some Galatian thorax spearmen. Kind of wish I could have some Galatian thorax spearmen, to be completely honest with you, but never mind. They've also got thorax units of their own, actually. They've got these guys, the Ptolemaic thorax swordsmen as well, who, as you can tell by the look of them, they are a little Roman inspired, that's for sure. There's quite a big description of them down here, which is interesting. I had a little read through that earlier. But yeah, they seem to be moving away from phalanxes in terms of their army down here at the moment. They're using a lot of swordsmen and spearmen and what have you. They've got some Ptolemaic spear cavalry, they've got some Galatian mercenaries, and then a few regional units knocking about. It's not a great army, but it seems to be getting the job done so far. They took this back, and their fleet sailed over around to here and took New Franta by attacking the port. Because what the Ptolemies certainly do have is a rather excellent navy. It's floating around patrolling the waters, as you can see. So that's good. The Ptolemies are, yeah, they're fighting back a bit, which I'm glad to see. Britomaros, he's almost in Alexandria. He's almost made it. It's taking forever, but he's almost there. Exciting stuff. He's probably just going to wander along and try and help this army as much as he can, I imagine. Weird that the Romans haven't been around much lately. I can't find any Roman armies down here with my spies, and I can't find any in Greece either. I wonder what they're up to. Probably... God knows, they're probably just rampaging across most of Western Europe right now, the old Romans. They're probably up to no good over in Gaul or in Spain or in Morocco or whatever, I don't know. So yeah, that's the status update for now. That's the state of the Galatian Empire. Everything seems to be going largely okay. Fingers crossed it continues that way. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to finally open Pandora's box and get this started. We're going to declare war on Rome, and I have a weird feeling that this is either going to be way easier than I thought or way more difficult than I thought. I feel like there's maybe not going to be an in-between on this one. So a little state of affairs thing here. There seems to be no Roman armies defending their cities in Greece. However, they do have a lot of fleets prowling about the place that have been battling the Ptolemies, and I think relatively successfully too. There's one there, there's another one off in the fog of war somewhere. They have an army here, it's a very battered one. It's Legio 8 Liberatrix, and it is very, very battered, because it just had a big battle with the Ptolemies over here, and I'm going to say the Ptolemies probably won that one, but they took so many casualties in the process they don't feel like they can press their advantage, so they've retreated back into friendly territory. Britomaros pretty much just sat there on his hands and watched the entire thing happen. But yeah, I'm not surprised the Ptolemies won that one. They have 2 units of Syrian war elephants, which is like armoured war elephants in their army, among other things. This Roman legion had some Principes and some Triarii, but also mostly about half the stack was these sort of like auxiliaries and mercenaries, so it's not really a proper Roman legion, to be honest with you. There's another Roman army around here somewhere in the fog of war. I don't know where it is though. But it's time for Britomaros to finish these guys off, take on the town garrison, and maybe take Kyrene or Kyrene or Cyrene or whatever however we want to pronounce it, for the glory of Galatia, I think. Since the Ptolemies aren't going to get to it. So yeah, that looks like fun. And then obviously up here we've got Magarix and Iarchos. Not Caxtos, he is dead. Ready to charge into Greece and take these settlements quite quickly, and then maybe hop over into Italy itself. Exciting. Also, there's a Ptolemaic fleet just off the coast of Italy, as it turns out. Yeah, there's been lots of naval warfare going on between the Ptolemies and Rome. Yeah, so that's kind of the plan. Magarix's army's had a bit of an upgrade. As you can see, I've gotten rid of most of the Thurius infantry and replaced them with the new Thorax infantry. So we've got the shield wall. And we've got Thorax infantry with still 1 unit of chosen swordsmen, and then a couple of units of naked fanatics, who are going to hang out on the flanks, I think. So it's the same kind of army as before, it's just I've replaced all the Thurius infantry with these armoured guys here. This took a while and was very expensive. My monthly income has been cut down quite a lot. But these guys kick ass. These are, I don't know if they're on par with Roman legionaries, but let's call them near peer with Roman legionaries, I would say. Maybe not Marian legionaries, but they can certainly go toe-to-toe with the Polybian stuff, I reckon. Which is good. And I got the shield wall. I think I'll deploy these guys behind the shield wall, and then we can sort of work from there. Should be interesting. Iarkos' army is a bit more... It's got a couple of units of thorax infantry, but for the most part it is lots of medium cavalry with a core of infantry, and still those radiant slingers as well. I have an extra army over here somewhere. Where is it? There it is. Move it over here to Ephesos. This one's led by Adcoro, who annoyingly looks exactly like Iarkos. That irritates me, but never mind. What are you going to do? Adcoro's leading this one. This one has 4 units of thorax infantry, a couple of units of medium cavalry, and lots of spearmen. And lots of slingers as well, in back, as well as a unit of chariots. So I'm going to sort of have him hang out here, and he can sort of hopefully defend the coast a little bit, and also maybe be shipped off via boat to somewhere we need him to be, if necessary. Probably not down across here, because he'll just get sunk by the Roman navy, but if he needs to quickly hop across the Aegean, for example, that can be done. And yeah, Britta Morris, I think, is going to be kicking things off for us by attacking this straggling sort of column of defeated Romans over here. Should be fun. Britta Moros, if you need a recap, is this guy here. He's one of the Tektos, I guess. He's one of our guys. He is the chap who is notable for the fact that he is apparently too angry to die. That's his main trait, skill thing there. He's a labourer and also histrionic as well. Sentimental, melodramatic, and flamboyant. Yeah, holds lots of grudges, one suspects. He also has some garum. It's a new ancillary that I managed to acquire. And the quote for it is, "It's made of rotting fish bits, and they call us barbaric." Plus 8% morale for all units during battles against Rome. So that's probably going to be very handy. So that's in addition to his tattooed madman and his medicus. Interestingly, according to his wife's screen, he is an arrogant husband. But I find this particularly amusing because, according to his screen, he has an arrogant wife as well. So they're clearly meant for each other. So we're going to do this. We're going to declare war. Well, are we going to declare war? No, not quite. What we're going to do is we're going to offer to join war. That's what we're going to do. The Ptolemies, for a few turns now, have been repeatedly asking me to join the war against Rome. They're going to get what they want. For a price, even if it is a small one. Interesting. How far can we go before it becomes low? Okay, apparently that asking price was too much.
Forgives your impudence in offering money.
Your impudence.
As though he were a common king.
Your impudence. I'd quite like to play a game as the Ptolemies one of these days, I have to admit. I went on a trip to the British Museum last week, and I really enjoyed it. I took lots and lots of photos, especially of all the Celtic and Roman stuff. In the upstairs galleries, and you may have noticed actually in some of the video intros I've been incorporating some of the research I did by taking photos of lots of Celtic jewellery and weapons and things. I've incorporated that into some of my illustrations for the video intros because I thought it'd be quite nice that rather than just sort of kind of half-arsing and making things up while illustrating the different characters, it'd be nice to actually get some historical references. So I actually went to the museum and found some real ones and took photos of them. But while I was there, obviously, I went and saw all the other stuff as well, which included all the Egyptian and Assyrian stuff. And I tell you what, makes me, A, kind of interested in the idea of playing the Ptolemies at some point, and B, makes me quite excited for Total War Pharaoh, actually, because there was a lot of stuff in the museum that was extremely relevant to that time period. It also makes me really wish that we had a Total War game set in the 9th century BC, about the Assyrian Empire, because probably one of my favourite things in the entire museum is the collection of I don't know what the rather technical term is, the stelae or something, or the big Assyrian tablets with all the cuneiform writing on them and the engraved, I guess, illustrations you might say of King whatever his face was. I can't remember. Crap at remembering these names. But all of his various deeds and battles and monuments he built and stuff like that. and they're fantastic. They're so cool. If you ever go to the British Museum, they are totally worth checking out. And yeah, I remember going through that, reading all the plaques and all the translations for the cuneiform and stuff, and being like, man, this would be a really cool setting for a Total War game. But anyway, payments. I went off on a tangent there, I do apologise. 6,000, let's try that. Whoa, really, dude?
In his divinity, forgives your impudence in offering money as though he were a common king.
5,000. Wow, guys.
A foreigner will never understand that the blessing of Pharaoh.
You're feeling a little cheap these days, aren't you?
Be bought for tawdry gold. Your offer is kind and respectful, but Pharaoh, Horus Reborn, has little need.
Finally, do it for 3,000. It's practically pocket change to the Galatians these days, but I guess it's the principle of the thing. Alright, so we're now at war with Rome on behalf of the Ptolemies, which means time to go fight some Romans in the desert. Looks like they're going to have some help. Once again, the auto-resolve is taking an extremely dim view of our chances of success here. I'm not sure I really believe that auto-resolve. That seems very wrong somehow. But we're going to be fighting Lucius Spurius Praeconinus of Rome. Let's do a quick save. And let's see how we fare against the Romans, all 99 of them. Because the rest of the army is, where there's the general's bodyguard, 99 Principes, and then the rest of them are Syracusan infantry, these guys from Libya, these guys are Sicilians, I think. Oh, they've got some Velites as well. Some Numidians, more Romanized Libyans as well. So yeah, there's not a lot of Romans in this little army, but there's some. They also have the town garrison, which is all Italian swordsmen, Italian town guard, and what have you as well. So, but they're not proper legionaries, really. Let's do this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the tribe is ready for war against the Romans. Oh, I cannot wait. There's something very special about fighting against the Romans in this game, and in the old Rome Total War as well. It really is. Especially if you're playing as the barbarians, I find personally. Yeah, it just felt a little bit weird to be doing it in the arid coast of North Africa, though. I guess I'm getting some flashbacks to some of my many previous Carthage campaigns I've done over the years. But here we are. Here's the sorry excuse for a bunch of Romans over here. Oh, look at them. Look at those bedraggled Principes over here. Pfft. Puny Romans. Gonna channel my inner Asterix today. That's for damn sure. There's the general's bodyguard over here. Which one's their general? Ah, that would be this chap here, wouldn't it? There is old Lucius. Right there. I forget the rest of his damn name, but he's Lucius, that's for sure. Nice beard, dude. I like the beard. I like the outfit in general, actually. You're looking very swish, actually, especially compared to your mates there with their slightly odd-looking helmets. But, yes, you're not going to be long for this world, mate, if I have my way. Of course, it bears mentioning, of course, though, you know, the more Roman armies we defeat, the harder we will make it for ourselves, because if we wipe out this sorry-ass stack, the Romans will recruit a new one, and that new one will be using Marian legionaries instead of these old Polybian ones down here, along with all of these auxiliaries. So, you know, on the one hand, cool, we're wiping out a Roman army. On the other hand, they will get replaced with a better army. So, later down the line. So here's our army, though. It's the usual sort of thing. Shield wall up front. Behind them, we've got the Thurius guys. Kind of going for a sort of blunt arrowhead formation slightly here. It's sort of coming out here on the flanks. We've got the Naked Fanatics on this flank and on this flank. Our archers, which I think these are Cretan archers, right? I believe. Lined up at the back here. Behind them, I've got some chosen swordsmen. We've got our general. Where is Britomarus? Is he inside this bush? I think he might be. Yes, there he is. There's Britomarus. Baggage train at the back, and then right behind the baggage train I have the cavalry, sort of right at the rear of the army, a bit like the Normans at the Battle of Hastings, so I can decide what I want to do with them in due course without committing them to either flank. That's the layout. That's the battle. Let's do this, ladies and gentlemen.
Elite cavalry!
Let's get marching.
Those bastards over there. When we move, we do so at the trot.
All the barrier!
Shall we start getting the men ready, sir? At the ready, men! We are going to hit them hard! Ignore those fools! They only want to kill you!
Alright, folks. We're drawing up towards the enemy. One more march forward, and I think we'll be in range. They're bringing their troops up, their reinforcements, the town guards and whatnot, and what have you over here. Now, what I do find tremendously interesting and delicious, frankly, is the fact that you'll notice old Lucius isn't here. Lucius appears to be attempting to run away. He's right camped up against the border of the battlefield right now. Hello, Lucius. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe Mr. Lucius is a coward.
Noble horse!
Alright.
And is ready!
Shield wall, my boys. Let's march. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why are you running, you loons?
Horsemen!
Good grief. Oh dear, I think it's because it's getting all screwed up because the shield wall. The shield wall moves slower than everybody else walks. So you guys need to run ahead now. Alright, my formation is in tatters. That's just lovely.
Archers!
You guys can move forward just a little bit further. You should be in range to shoot these guys. There we go, yeah.
Bring those cursed dogs down! Swords! Now, missile infantry!
Open fire anytime you like, boys.
Archers!
There we go. Guy's waving his sword, giving the order. You wanna shoot now, boys?
Archers!
You can shoot now. You're allowed.
As you
Maybe I need to move you a bit further forward. This unit is. At least some of the guys in that unit are, anyway.
Archers! Orders understood! Battle ready!
Shield wall. Where,
We'll kill them all!
Okay, you guys have somehow ended up out on the flanks like that. I don't know what's going on with my formation, but it's gone a bit weird.
Yes! All right!
There we go. Now they're firing. I feel like you guys are probably going to lose an archery contest with a bunch of Cretan archers. You can switch to shoot them. Also, brilliant pro tip that I was given by the YouTube comments. Put your archers in guard mode, which means that when the enemy runs away to get out of range of your archers won't follow them to keep shooting them. I didn't know this was a thing. Thanks, comment people. You taught me something very valuable. Oh yeah, you guys are getting pelted with arrows. Alright, I'm gonna move the spear wall forwards. It is satisfying to watch these guys march in, I have to say. Oh, we've already got some routers, excellent. I'll have you move over this way, cavalry.
Our spears are yours! Let's go! Ready! Galatians!
Yeah, I'd really like to take care of these missile guys before I move the old fanatics up.
At your service! Infantry! Noble horse!
Shield wall is taking some hits from the enemy. But you're in a shield wall, so hopefully the damage will be minimal. You guys are wavering, and now you're running. Love it. Go ahead and pelt those. Where have they gotten to? Those Principes. We've got some movement over here. The Syracusans are moving up. We're getting pelted with javelins from the Fanatics.
Spears!
Got to get pelted with javelins from these boys as well. There we go. Oh, and on the unshielded side as well. Oh, that's brutal.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Are they sending in Italian horsemen? Yeah, they are. Right, need to watch out for them. Britomaros, get over this side and shield the archers a bit. Oh, look, they've made an attack. Some of the Italian swordsmen have come up to take on the shield wall, and I think the shield wall is going to very, very confidently hold their ground here. The archers are firing danger close right now, but do you know what? Actually, they're doing very good. Very good. They are not really hitting a lot of our guys at all. Even so, I think I might get them to switch targets. Yeah, look at that. That's uncannily accurate. I guess Cretan archers are good for a reason, right? Though, right? All right, what's happened over here? Gnaeus Cordus. That's the name of the local governor, I think. The Principes are moving off down the hill there for some reason. They're still trying to bring up their reinforcements, who are going to be knackered by the time they get here. Let's see if we can get behind these Sicilians. How's it going over here? They're just battering themselves against the wall, aren't they? Really? Let's see if I can try and get a charge into the flank of these boys, but it's going to be tricky. Try and get a rear charge into these Italian horsemen, though. Actually, split off. You go into them. You go into them. Ah, we've created an opening. Excellent. There we go. Oh, they brought up 2 units here. Some of the Libyans are up here as well.
Units has used all its ammunition.
All right, don't stick around. Move out. Okay, nicely done, boys. At the trot, boys. Come on. Move it. Don't casually canter away from the enemy at walking speed. That would be a very bad idea. Goodness me. Alright, you guys need to move out, I think. This is just medium cavalry here, you know. This is not heavy cavalry we're rocking right now over here with these guys. So... Oh, Lucius has finally found his brave pills. There he is.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
I think it was Wellington that once said that generals have better things to do than shoot at one another. I disagree, personally, but lucky for Lucius, my archers are out of ammunition. Yeah, it looks like the enemy's really committing now. So well, let's get a bit of a flank on, I think. Let's get Britomaros up here in the middle so he can pop an Inspire and a Rally if he needs to. Oh, they've got exposed archers who are shooting my cavalry. Let's make sure the cavalry can clear up those archers. Bit of a charge of the light brigade thing going on here, although it looks like the archers aren't getting too many kills. Oh, I see we've got slingers mostly, actually, not archers, but hey. Makes no bloody difference to me. The cavalry should clean these guys up quite nicely, I hope. Meanwhile, the shield wall is holding. Can you guys catch those cavalry? Nope, they're going to get away. But you can charge into the side of those. And we can bring those fanatics around the side there. Let's pop an Inspire.
Our general is under attack.
Yeah, he's taking a few stray sling bullets. But that's alright. Let's start rolling up the flanks here as well. And Britomaros, pop a rally and charge. A bit of a cavalry duel over here. And naked fanatics into the back of the enemy right there. you please. We've got some waverers and they're routing. Good. In you go, fanatics. This should be good. You guys are pretty scary. Especially on the charge. They're such a fantastic unit, the Fanatics. I really enjoy them. Even though the rest of the armies are being upgraded these days to stuff like Thorax infantry. Even in Magarix's army, I still have a couple of units of these guys on for the flanking attacks like this. It's the fact that they have such good attack and are also spearmen, so they're good against cavalry as well. It's a really, really tasty combination. Obviously, their Achilles heel is, of course, enemy missile units, who they'll get absolutely eviscerated by, but luckily we're clearing up the missile units right as we speak. Starting to feel a little bit sorry for the Chosen Swordsmen. They don't have much to do right now, but that's okay. You guys going to be able to clear out the slingers? I hope so. Yep, they're already wavering. Something about Gallic horsemen, they just look so cool. With the cloaks and the cool helmets and the big long swords. Yep, they look damn cool. There's the Principes there. No, that's just Italian swordsmen. Don't know where the Principes have got to. Probably in the middle of this mess somewhere.
Warriors of gold! Infantry!
Send around the old horseman there. Horseman? Sorry, Chosen Swordsman. What am I talking about? Right, where's Britomaros ended up? He's all the way over here. He's busy chasing away those Italians. Right, let's get you back in the fight, my man. You're chasing slingers. You guys can have some more slingers to chase. It's just the medium cavalry really doing what they should be doing, actually, is attacking weak missile infantry rather than trying to do any frontal charges. Alright, you've got a bit of a jog, but you need to get you guys around the back here. You can do some serious damage. Interestingly, that the enemy hasn't quite broken yet. Old Lucius is doing his best to keep all his men in line. He just popped a rally there. I don't know if you noticed that. Bring up the cav at the back here. Those men are starting to break now. I'm wondering if it's worth cycle charging the Fanatics. It's a bit of a weird thing to do with infantry, but maybe it's worth a go. I don't think that's much of a charge, is it? The enemy kind of chased him out.
The men are wavering.
Okay, who the fuck's wavering? Oh, it's the Fanatics. Well, that's not good. Alright, that was a terrible idea then. Never cycle charge the Fanatics, ladies and gentlemen. Because I think what happened there is they got formation breached, and that just absolutely devastates your morale. So, that was dumb. Weird to see Fanatics running away, frankly. Let's see if we can kill Lucius. He's almost penned in here. I like the idea that Britomaros fancies taking the head of a Roman general. So let's see if we can make it happen. There we go. Oh, they're going to get him right in the rear as well. They're just standing there. There's Lucius. Oh, they're running away. Yep, they're running away. Chase him down. Come on, guys. Kill him. Get that Roman. After him.
Infantry! Heavy spears! Galatian!
Alright, let's keep rolling this up, shall we? Get that nice little charge bonus that the barbarian factions do enjoy. Chosen Swordsmen have an absolute field day at the back here. They are enjoying themselves, aren't they? They've taken 3 entire casualties so far. I can't wait to see what their kill-death ratio is going to be like at the end of this battle. Oh god, don't do that. Ugh, the old click drag in Rome 2 is weird, because you don't... In the later games, you hold Alt and click and drag to move units, but in this game you just left click and drag, and you can accidentally fuck up everything by doing that. I think I've talked about this before, but in case I haven't. Because I'm a senile fellow, you know, sometimes I completely forget whether or not I've mentioned something. You'll have to humour me from time to time. Yeah, they're legging it. Did we catch Lucius in the end? I don't think we did we? I guess I'll tell you what, the archers can go and chase some routing enemies. You guys are probably going to be quite quick on your feet. Get the old spear guys to push on in there. Yeah, that's making the enemy waver. I do love the spear wall infantry, the Trogmai Kareos. They just do exactly what they're supposed to do so very well, which is just hold the line and be the anvil for the enemy to hammer away on while you bring the flankers around. Alright, we did it. That is a lot of dead Romans, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, it's not a lot of dead Romans. It's a very small handful of dead Romans and a lot of Italians and Sicilians and Libyans, I'm happy to say. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We lost 432 men, and the enemy lost a hell of a lot more than that. If you're curious, the final kill-death ratio for the Chosen Swordsman was 7 lost for 202 killed. Yep, pretty good. Yeah, they've been absolutely wiped out, although Lucius, unfortunately, seems to have escaped with 2 of his bodyguards. The sneaky devil. I'm sure he'll be disgraced before the Senate, though, if he somehow manages to make it back to Rome, of course. We shall enslave these Romans, for they would only do the same to us. And Britomars has increased in rank, which is a bloody good thing, too, because he's not a very experienced general, actually. Oh, go away, advisor. I don't want any advice. Alright, what are we going to give him? Ferocious warrior for this lad, I think. Too angry to die? Yeah, he's a ferocious warrior, alright. Trained swordsman. Drill master. Or do we want to take rightful sovereign? Because that leads you to so many nice things. There's also commander of men, that's also good. We'll take both. We'll take Commander of Men and Ferocious Warrior. I think we'll go down the pink and the red skill trees for this guy, I think. Oh yes. The Garum. Yeah, I like it. Alright. He can't actually attack the city this turn, which is a bit of a shame. I wonder if the Ptolemies will swoop in and take it for themselves. Wouldn't be surprised. That, I am reasonably confident. Yes, Classius 1 Ravenus. That's definitely a fleet. That's not an army, and therefore not a threat to us. The only unit that really took a bit of a beating out there was one of the units of... It's the unit of Naked Fanatics that ran away. They're down to about 50% of their dudes. In terms of mercenaries out here, we could get some elephants. However, elephants are difficult because they require an awful lot of food. You can accidentally starve an army to death if you have too many elephants. I've done it before. In a previous campaign, it was the Mithridatic Wars campaign. I was playing as Gaius Marius, and I had an army over here. Around this sort of region, I recruited a bunch of Syrian war elephants into the army, and then swiftly discovered that the entire army was starving to death because the elephants had eaten all of the food. So I had to disband all but one unit of them. So that's something to watch out for if you ever play in DEI. Do not go all in on elephants too much, because otherwise you might get into some supply problems. Anyway, that's that sorted. Meanwhile, we're going to be laying siege to Larissa over here. Who do we want to use to do it, though, is the question. I think I want to use Iarchos to do it, just to get him some experience, and also because I'd rather his army took the siege attrition rather than Magarix's, because Magarix has the more expensive units that are extremely difficult to replenish. So apparently we can assault straight away. Do they not have walls here? I guess they don't have walls here. Alright, let's drop a quick save and assault the city directly. I don't see why we should wait. Alright, ladies and gents, let's do this. More Romans to kill. Should be fun. There's Iarchos, by the way, who, irritatingly, as I've said, looks exactly like Adcoro and also looks exactly like Iaros. I don't know why so many of the Gallic generals look identical to one another at the moment, but it's a little bit irritating, isn't it? But never mind. When I come to do the illustrations, I'll just have to get a bit creative, I think. He's occupying the left flank at the moment, in the position that Caxtos normally would. First half of the army is already formed up here. We've got the spear wall out in front. I've got Thurius infantry behind, and the 2 units of Thorax infantry that are in Iarchos' army. They're all here. Ooh, like that helmet, dude. That's very extra. Got some chariots at the back there. I've got the Rhodian slingers. I've got the baggage train behind them. And we've got an interesting battle map today. It's got a great big stonking huge hill in the middle, which I have a feeling the Romans are going to be able to occupy quite easily. Their deployment zone starts kind of around here-ish, I think. Yeah, exactly there, in fact. I eyeballed that very well. Our reinforcements are going to come on over here. And then we're going to be marching up this hill to fight a bunch of Romans who stand no chance of defeating us, but unfortunately we are going up a hill, and therefore we'll get tired out, and therefore we may end up taking more casualties than I'd like on this one, but never mind. Got to do what you got to do. They've sallied forth out of the city rather than actually fighting a city battle, so I don't know where the city is in the distance. I don't know if I can see it anywhere. It's kind of foggy out there today. Oh, there it is. There's the city itself in the distance, but it's over there. Yep. Start battle. Let's do this. We can't see them right now. They're over on the other side of that hill. But Magarix's boys are now arriving over here, and here are all... Look at them all. Oh, all the Thorax infantry in all their glory.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Ah, baby. You're not Galatian legionnaires, but you're the next best thing. You're also a lot more colourful and exciting looking than Galatian legionaries, admittedly, but we are, by the way, I checked on the faction screen recently, and we are like a tiny whisker away from getting Imperium level 4, and once we get Imperium level 4, we can recruit Galatian legionaries, which, oh baby, that's when we're going to bring the pain to the Romans, because Galatian legionaries are at least as good as Marian legionaries, if not slightly better, because they have higher attack. They have, I think the difference between them is that Galatian legionaries have slightly higher attack, slightly lower defense than Marian Roman legionaries. But they're very, very good. They're based on a real historical unit, actually. The Galatians, obviously, in real life, didn't form an empire and end up, recruiting their own legions and stuff like that. But the Galatian legionaries are not actually a fictional unit, because in real life, during the Mithridatic Wars, the Galatians rose up against King Mithridates of Pontus and fought him. And when the Romans came over to the east to fight Mithridates, because Mithridates, basically, he picked a fight with the Romans, he marched into their territory, he slaughtered loads and loads of Romans, he styled himself as a kind of liberator of the local population from Roman tyranny and what have you, and he ended up slaughtering and doing horrible things to a lot of the Roman population. Unfortunately, Rome was a bit distracted at the time because Gaius Marius and Sulla were going at each other, and we all know that story. Well, most of us do.
The battle is turning in our favor.
And by the time the Romans got around to dealing with Mithridates after all this had been resolved, they got there and they found that the Galatians had already been fighting a war against Mithridates of Pontus, and they had recruited an entire army of Gauls, but they were all armed and equipped and trained in the manner of Roman legionaries, which I'm sure the Romans found in equal parts fascinating and amusing. And that's what the Galatian legionaries unit in this game is based on. It's based on that very, very scanty historical account that we do have, which describes those guys. Of course, in our little timeline here, we're going to have Galatian legionaries because we're going to fight the Romans, and through a combination of learning through fighting the Romans, and also because Lentulus is going to be training lots of Gauls himself in the Roman fashion, we're going to have Galatian legionaries for that reason instead. Anyway, I'm going to get this mess, this little fuster-clucked pile of nonsense over here untangled, and I'll return. Alright folks, enemies coming down over the hill towards us. They were deployed behind these trees. I've only really just been able to actually get a look at them. It's been a bit of a march up this hill, especially since the formation predictably got rather disrupted by going through all the trees. But looks like it's all kicking off now. Speed it up, everybody. In fact, stop right there. Don't let them come any further down, they have to. Defensive formation on all the thorax guys. Who's this? Decimus Curvus. Well, yeah, woe unto Decimus Curvus apparently, because he's about to get pelted with javelins.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Let's bring up some of the cavalry here.
Ready for battle! Orders!
Cavalry. This is not ideal ground for cavalry at all, is it? But never mind. Not ideal ground at all, really. We're fighting up a slope right now. At least I stopped short of getting any higher up it, where it was steeper. Don't like the fact that our thorax infantry are getting pelted right now, but the enemy's not going to have that many javelins. They're not Thracians, after all. Oh, well, don't need to chase him off with the cavalry. He's already running for it.
Riders, advance!
I don't know if we got old Decimus, but he's certainly running away.
Advance at speed! Riders!
Alright, cavalry. Including Brito Maros himself. We've already got men running away. Let's get some charge into the back of you. Let's get you guys around the side. Should be good. Yes, it is. Galatian cavalry doing what Galatian cavalry does.
Our general is under attack.
Yes, I know. Although I really will try and keep an eye on him. Get stuck in, everyone. Oh man, yeah, lots of missiles going into these boys. Yeah, we're just absolutely running amok with the enemy missile troops at the back here. They've committed absolutely everything. At least as far as I can tell anyway. Line of sight here is a bit weird, what with all the trees and everything. They've got some more slingers in the back there. Oh yeah, that's going to cause some panic.
Galatians! Aye!
Back out again.
Orders! Galatians!
I'm sure there's going to be a bit of friendly fire in this battle, unfortunately, but we'll live with it. Continuing to roll up what's left of this enemy flank. The Carreos are, of course, holding the line superbly, as always. Yeah, this was never going to be much of a contest. This is an enemy town garrison. I've played as the Romans and used these units, and they are pathetic. They are really quite rubbish. So this was never in any doubt. Question now of getting the buggers to run away so we can wrap this up. It's old Bridomaros himself, there he is. Alright, there we go. We're done. You guys stop. Well, you guys, are you the archers? Yeah, you are. All missile infantry, stop doing your thing. We're just going to run what's left of them down. Lovely jubbly, the city is ours.
We won! I can't believe it! We won! Of course we won, you rat! I'm here!
Lovely. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Decisive victory. They've been completely wiped out. We lost 163 men out of that huge two-stack army, which is virtually nothing in terms of casualties. I think one of the units of Trokmai Kaureos took a bit of a dent there, thanks to mostly probably the enemy javelins coming at them from down a slope. But aside from that, pretty darn good. The cavalry absolutely cleaned house. They took virtually no casualties, and they just destroyed. I think they got an awful lot of kills, I think, from just getting around the rear and tearing into the enemy slingers. But yeah, fantastic job from all concerned. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Of course, we will be looting the place for a big, big pile of money. And Imperium. Is this now us at Imperium level 4 or what? 3 edicts per turn. We can have 8 armies now, 4 fleets. Still only 2 spies, but we can have 4 governors now. Still only 2 champions. Does this mean...
When you selected a faction...
Yeah. Does this now mean we are Imperium level 4? Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we are Imperium level 4. This is incredibly good news. This means that I can go to Warrior Code here, and I can research this. Unit upgrades. I don't know if this will actually do anything for us, because I don't know if we have any units that can actually upgrade into Galatian legionaries, but I'm going to abandon our existing research and do this instead, straight away. And let's have a look at recruitment options in other places. Let's have a look here. What do we need to be able to recruit Galatian legionaries? I think we might have to research the purple tech before we can even recruit them, to be fair. We may even just have to end turn as well for it to kind of sort itself out. But oh yeah, you can't recruit units because you're broken and weird. He's stuck forever in patrol mode. He's not supposed to be allowed to be in patrol stance while in a city, but he is somehow. I don't know how that happened, but he's kind of broken and doesn't work properly. Right. Let's repair all of the damage we've wrought upon the place, and yeah, Larissa is now ours.
We cannot honor the god. To travel is to be truly free.
It's ours. Beautiful, lovely. Our first city in mainland Greece we have taken. Apollonia swift to follow, hopefully, and yeah, and then that'll probably really panic the Romans. And yeah, next turn I'll try and take Kyrene for ourselves, rather than leaving it to the Ptolemies, you know. However, I know there's another Roman army around here somewhere. It's led by the enemy faction leader, the old Primus de Pares. What's his name? Lucius Julius Libo. He's around here somewhere in the fog of war, lurking about the place. Unless they moved him off west somewhere. I don't know. But, yeah. More Romans incoming. They're going to have to land at least 1 or 2 armies over here in response to this. Their fleets might end up being a problem. When it comes to my little coastal towns, that's something we're going to have to deal with when we get to it, but that's kind of why... Adcoro is here right now, to be honest with you. Standing outside of Ephesus. Rhodes is going to be a tricky one. If the enemy takes Rhodes, that's going to be a pain in the behind to try and take back. Moreos does have a little fleet here. If the enemy starts getting a little close for comfort, I will immediately recruit a load of ship mercenaries. Ship with a P, I should say, mercenaries. Weirdly, there is a Ptolemaic army up here for some reason, and we do have Pergamon hanging about the place as well. I wouldn't rely on the AI very much to help us in a crisis, but it's nice to know that there's 2 stacks of Pergamese and 1 stack of Ptolemies knocking around in Asia Minor at the moment, in case the enemy just does decide to make a funny D-Day landing over here. So yeah, that's the thing. Just want to go diplomacy. Talk to the Illyrians.
Good and noble friend.
Could we convince you somehow to join our war against Rome for a very large pile of money? They would do it, you know. They would do it. They would definitely do it. Oh, they would, but I'm not going to ask them to right now, because I don't want them to take Apollonia. I want Apollonia. After we've taken Apollonia, then I'll ask them if they'd like to join in, because they could march up around here and attack Italy from the north. That would be rather nice, wouldn't it? Oh. Yeah. Yeah, oh, this is interesting. Yeah, the Illyrians totally smell blood in the water, I think. They reckon we might be on the winning side. Ooh, I love it. Right, ladies and gentlemen, that is, however, going to be it for this episode. As we've taken a bite out of Rome, punched them, absolutely sucker punched them in the face, and left them bleeding, but, you know, hell hath no fury, like a bunch of pissed off Romans, as history has taught us, so I'll be curious to see how that shakes out in the game. The Romans do get, unlike the other AI factions, they do get a lot of bonuses, economic cheats and whatnot, to help them out. They have had the Marian reforms, so theoretically, they should be able to chuck some really nasty armies at us. I mean, we've hit Imperium level 4 now, and so hopefully soon we can recruit Galatian legions of our own. That'll take a while though, and the Romans, meanwhile, they're going to be able to do that a lot quicker. Anyone's guess how this is going to go? I mean, I'm probably going to win. Let's be honest; it's a total war game at the end of the day, and the AI is not that smart. But the question is, how difficult is it going to be for me to win? Because I've played this game in the past. The Mithridatic Wars campaign does spring to mind, in particular, where I was playing Romans against other Romans, and that was a really rough campaign. I won in the end, but it took a very long time. And there was a lot of frustration along the way. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, tune in next time as we continue our war against Rome. Oh, it's so exciting. I love it. Cheers, folks. Hope you enjoyed watching. Catch you next time.